I'd like to thank Hello Tomorrow for having me today. I really love being here in Peru. It's my second time. It won't be my last. For the last 4 days, I've been eating ceviche almost every meal. So it's been a pleasure. I'm going to come back. I'd like to talk a bit about a story about entrepreneurship and making a contribution to some of the humanity most pressing needs. So today it's a story about entrepreneurship, doing something for the environment, and it starts like this. About 6 years ago, me and my partners here, we decided to start a project. We were wondering, how could we make a contribution? See, me, I worked in corporate environment. I had a good job, good paying job, good career, and I decided, what could I do? I want to do something more to contribute to some of our challenges. So my partner Pierre on the left, I think, on the right, approached me and he said, he was an engineer, an electrical engineer. He said, Denis, let's do a river turbine. We were wondering, and the guy in the middle, by the way, is Gilles. He's the real hero because he's 57 years old and he was thinking for a long time, what can I do to contribute as well for a renewable energy project? And at 57 years old, he went back to school and then he started a project with us and became an entrepreneur with 2 young guys, and he invested a lot of his time and money and took a big risk just before retirement to do a contribution. I think we need more and more people like this to contribute, and there's no bad age to start and contribute to a project like this. So we were wondering, how can we make a contribution? So we were looking at renewable energy, and solar panels were everywhere, small wind as well. And we were wondering, how come there's no technology for people like you and me to make energy with the river, something that is easy? And we said, so why don't we do something about it? So we started from a blank piece of paper, and we said, what can we do to contribute and make a technology that could help power remote communities and also allow people to power their home, just like solar and small wind. So we began the adventure. So at the beginning, we were in the basement of a university, and we started doing research and development. And the first year, we said, okay, so where do we start? So we look at available studies, research papers, and says, how are we going to do this? So first we said, we're going to do something small so people could use, and something that would be easy to evolve quickly. So we said, something we can go in the river, 2-person, put in the river, and then evolve the project with time. So in 2011, we did our first prototype, something quickly with scrap metal, piece we could find anywhere. We had a very low budget to start with. So we did a little generator. This was to confirm if we could make enough energy in a river flow. It's very challenging to work in rivers. Wind turbines started small and they grew with time. Now we have to take something like a wind turbine and put it in the water. But in the water you have water intrusion, debris, a lot of things. So you can see in the prototypes on the screen the evolution, and there's a reason for everything you see on the screen. So first we tried the helicoidal blade, and then we find out that it was more efficient to have straight blade. We put the generator in the middle, so we would have a more balanced weight. And then in the third version in 2013, you can see we took all the fixed fixed items, we took it out. Why? Because if you put something fixed in the river, there's going to be alguas, there's going to be debris that gets stuck on the machine and so forth. And then what you see in the main picture, it's our last version, the commercial version. We took out the main shaft, so now much more simple. we wanted to do a machine that was also a little bit like a IKEA style, so something people could send in the remote jungles, something that was easy to transport, and people could assemble on site and didn't require any heavy equipment to install. This is an example of possibility to install multiple turbines in one site and power small communities and so forth. I'm going to show you, so this is a final product essentially. The big advantage of a river turbine compared to solar and wind is the river runs 24 hours a day. So there's some advantages with that. We can cut down on batteries, there's less uncertainty for the production, so when people have a refrigerator, they know at night there's going to be energy left. You're not subjected to rain and weather variation. It's also silent. You can put, obviously it's underwater, and then one machine like this can do the equivalent in average production from 2 to 12 solar panels, depending on the river velocity. And when you compare this to a gas generator, well, the advantages, the cost advantage are very obvious. This is when it's in action. You can see it. We'll take a quick look. Like I was saying, 2 people can install this in the river, fairly easy. Put it at the bottom of the river, and then put an anchor. It's very simple, fairly simple to install. It takes maybe half a day to do this, and then you can see it start producing. And this is an example in Canada where we installed this, and this is a cabin that had no electricity. So we brought lighting, we brought small television, small refrigerator, we brought a small cooking stove, and I had the pleasure to spend the weekend there using the energy from the water. So I watch a movie from the energy from the river. Very simple. So this project is attracting a lot of attention all around the world. Recently we had a Facebook video, this one, that had over 40 million views. That was in last November. So in the last 6 months, there's been over 1,300 people calling us, potential distributors, interested customers in more than 90 countries that are interested to try to use this product. So I think we were very happy because I think we found something. When we started this project, we went based on fate, and then our fate was confirmed subsequently. It's a small production, like I said, comparable to up to 12 solar panels. So you produce anywhere from 2 to 500 watt on a consistent basis, and you send to the batteries. This is a map of the rivers in the world. So the interesting thing is where there are rivers, that's where we live. That's where humanity is. The more rivers there are, the more population there is. There's a big correlation. So we said, okay, so we have a market. People live close to these rivers. There's the veins of humanity. So last year, we start doing a project in Alberta with Parks Canada to power campground and hostel, and we did some hybrid project with solar. And you can see here the different installation and the different rivers. So as I was saying earlier, IKEA style, so we can assemble on site. I think I have a video. Okay, to make this possible in rivers, very complicated. So we had to build technologies that will allow us for this river turbine to work. It looks easy from outside, but it's very complicated inside. We needed a 100% waterproof generator, because if you put this in the water, you want to forget about it, and it's got to run for years. So if you put a generator in the water and there's a shaft penetrating the generator, eventually there's water that's going to go in the electrical components, and it's going to stop working. So we had to invent a generator that didn't have a shaft like this. So we did a lot of trials, and we came up with a like kind of magnetic principle to drive the rotor without any contact. So that has allowed us to put the electronic inside the machine and have faith that it would work for many years. So on the right side, you have power electronics. We developed this as well. So the job of the power electronic is to control the speed of the turbine and always look for the maximum production point. And it also converts the energy, the voltage up, so we have less losses on the line, all the way to the cabin or the community, depending on the situation. I had a few pictures. Oh, that's a video, I think. So I talked to you about the straight blade earlier, and there's a reason we put them there. They're more efficient at cruising speed. But the problem is they don't self-start. There's not enough torque to start it. So we had to solve this challenge as well. And so we took the energy from the battery, we sent it to the generator, then it can start. It helps the turbine start, and then the river does the rest after. And we also have an application so you can follow your production. For the river turbine, you can know how much you produce at the time of the day and things like this. So a lot of technical challenge to make this possible. This is just recently we had a project in Chile, so this is our warehouse, and we assemble all the turbine, and we can send this to our partners around the world, distributors or clients. Fairly simple. Entrepreneurship, you make a plan, you have a goal. We thought we would be done with this project in a couple of years, and this is our 7th year. It keeps going. It's hard. So you make a plan, and then the reality arrives. You get a lot of roadblock, obstacle, and you have to be very resilient and don't let any challenge stop you. And I think there's a lot of entrepreneur in the room, I think, today. And this is something, if you have a project in mind and a dream, you got to be ready to work very hard and face all these obstacles. And there's going to be a lot. And you keep going. Okay, this is a nice river in Alberta, very strong current, and we put a big river turbine there. You can see where I'm pointing. So that was a very successful moment for us because this was hard to put the turbine in there. It's like 3 meters per second flow. But this is an example of the possibilities. You only see one here, but imagine putting multiple turbines here, maybe combining with solar and making an hybrid system to provide energy to communities and other needs. We get a lot of questions about fish. I'm sure you've thought about this already. I'll show you something later. But also about debris. What happens? The rivers in Peru and the jungle are full of debris. And we were aware we had to solve this challenge from the get-going. So here you see a Christmas tree kind of size. And we said, okay, what happens when a big obstacle goes through the turbine? So we threw the tree right in the turbine, and you see a bit what happened. So the turbine just turns, it goes over, and then it starts turning again. So in all our 6 years, we've had fairly little issue with debris and branch and things like this. The turbine self-clean itself. This is the transportation device, the generator. So as I said before, very easy to go on site in remote location and have a solution to help people power the community. This was in my old days. I spent a lot of time, we were a small team, so I spent a lot of time in the river with the team and to get a good knowledge of what the product felt like and how we can improve it. So you can see here, it's fairly simple. And this is an example of the electrical installation you would have for such a turbine like this. You would have a bank of batteries, 4 to 8 batteries, an electrical panel, and a little converter to convert. So it's pretty, doesn't take a lot of room, and it can power remote areas. This is another small creek, this one. Sometimes it's big rivers like you saw. This is a small creek in Parks Canada as well, and with a lot of debris, rocks, and things like this. This is my partner, is very proud after installing the turbine. His name is Vincent. This is me in the same creek, so we worked hard that summer installing over 10 turbines in Alberta. Sometimes you start a project like this and other opportunities come your way. This is what happened to us. People start calling us and they had energy needs, and we have a knowledge of renewable energy, power electronic. So this is northern Canada and very remote area. You can only go by helicopter and by plane. And they say, can you install a solar panel? Can you give us energy? So we did the project. We installed 24 kilowatt of solar, a lot of inverters and batteries to allow this outfitter to reduce the use of a gas generator. I think there's a lot of such remote lodge and communities in Peru as well, and this is a kind of example of energy we can bring to people to help them improve their life condition and reduce CO2 emission. This is the same place, and we install 6 river turbines at this area as well to combine with solar. And this, like I said earlier, it makes a great renewable energy mix. So now Energía has become a river turbine expert. We do solar installation, and along the way we also make partners. People call us. They don't have necessarily the river for a small turbine, but there's a lot of hydro solution existing in the world, and sometimes when the condition on the fields are good, well, you can put micro turbine. This is our partner Levesque. I'll show you, I'll let Antonio introduce a little bit his technology. Antonio's from Peru originally, and he's going to introduce a little bit his technology for remote communities as well. This is another solution we came up with. We were talking with people in Africa and says, we want solar, we want solution. So how can you help us? So we have a concept where we pre-install all the converter in a container like this. We put the solar panel inside. We ship this on site. And then on site, the only work that remains is to install the solar panel, connect the system, and everything is already pre-tested. So we have a project upcoming for next year for this. When you start a business like this, you can't do it all by yourself. And along the way, you meet people, and these people will help you improve, build your business, meet more people. This is in Chile. We have government is very interested to find solution for as well for remote communities. So they're building canals, and they purchased 6 turbines, and we'll be starting a trial a little bit later this year to see how this energy can contribute to the energy needs of Chile. Jaime is on the picture there. When we went to, a side note, when we went to Chile, Jaime insisted that I try the pisco sour over there. Okay, because he said, Dennis, you have to compare. Okay, so try here, and then when we come to Lima, you drink a little bit. And they've been telling me how much better it is here, and now I am convinced. I had many pisco sours the last few days. It's very good. I said sometime when you start a project, when you're an entrepreneur and you try to do something good, and along the way you meet people, you talk to, you get a better feel for the market, and there's other opportunities that come along your way, and you have to keep your eyes open, because our original mission was to make a contribution and give a product that could help people. And then we found another potential product based on our skills. So we are very good in power electronics. We make our own electronic board. And we saw an opportunity to bring the next generation. So I was saying I'm going to show you, I'll talk while we go through this. But essentially in the US, for example, there are people that put solar on their house, and they put converter, and it takes the energy from the sun and it sends it to the grid. And as it's been working good, and more people want to join the grid in places like California and the northeast of the US. But for the grid managers, it's become a challenge, because when a lot of people have solar in the neighborhood, well, it's sunny in the middle of the day, and all at the same time, they send the energy to the grid. And what happened is when there's too many people producing like this, well, they're having a hard time managing the grid and keeping it stable. So now there's there's something called California Rule 21, and they're talking about what is the next generation of converter should be doing to help solve this problem. And we start looking into this and says, wow, we have good knowledge, power electronic, we make converters. How can we help? So we started building a converter that has many advantages. We're getting there. All right, here you go. So we said, based on our knowledge of doing renewable energy project, we said we can do a converter that's better. How about something you can build with time? So you want to install 20 solar panels this year, you put a unit, and next year you want to put some more, so you slide another unit. So this converter can interact with batteries. It's also an inverter, so it can produce AC for your house. It can also do AC with the grid. And eventually what we want to do is make it possible to interact with the electric vehicle, to use the battery as well, if we want to use the energy from the car and use it in the house, or vice versa, recharge a vehicle, use the grid, the solar panel, the batteries to charge a car very fast when you arrive at home. All different solutions. And also interact with the grid. But the big difference of this product, what we're doing we're allowing the grid managers, the companies, to manage, to control partially your converter at home. So when there's too much energy on the network, they can say, whoa, stop it, send a signal. I say, put the energy in your batteries. I have too much on the grid right now. And then when dinner time comes and everybody comes home and start cooking and there's a lot of energy demand, well, then the grid can say, okay, give me the energy from the battery. I need some. I don't have enough on the grid. So this is what we're doing right now, this kind of a next generation of converter, and it has a lot of potential to make a big difference in people's life and the way we manage energy. Because as you know, electrical vehicles are coming, and it's going to be a huge demand for grid. One vehicle, to recharge one vehicle, it consumes more than your house. So what's going to happen to the grid when all people have cars, more and more people have cars, and there's all this demand? So we need people like you and me to find solution to allow this. The grid's going to change a lot. The way we manage energy is going to change quite a bit in the next 10 years. So essentially, this is just a recap. So we started as a river turbine company, then we started doing renewable energy product, and now we're doing converters. So this is the way entrepreneurship works sometimes. You find opportunities on the way, and you seize them. These are some of our dreams. So this is the small turbine that we've been talking about. And we said, well, maybe one day we do a bigger one. So this one's going to be a little bit harder to install just for 2 people. But I think it's an opportunity as well for us down the road. I was telling you about challenges. So let me tell you a little bit of story about Energía and some of the obstacle we had, and very scary sometime. So I'm from Canada, so people ask us, what happens in the winter when you put the turbine? I mean, does it work? Does it work under the ice? So we had to try in the winter to put a turbine, and the weather is minus 20, I think, right now. So you actually feel better in the water than outside, because the water is about 0.01 degrees. So people waiting outside are freezing in the water. You're okay. So this, we put, unfortunately, this little video here doesn't seem to work, unfortunately. It shows the river, the turbine running, and it shows what happens when the air is very cold and the river at minus 20, and then you start having like snow particle called fragile in the water, and it it gets stuck on the metal, on everything. It actually gets stuck. It builds a block. It blocks the river. So we put the turbine in the water, and we go home, and then we come back 2 days later, and there's a block of ice on the side of the river. It's okay, we should come and get the turbines. It's probably not a good idea when it's very cold in Canada to put turbines in the river. So we come back the next day, and that's what the river looked like. So the river was blocked. Water level went up for, I think, 1.5 meters, and then it froze. So we only had one prototype. So we spent the next, I think, 3 months looking for the turbine. We didn't know where it was. So we went on, every weekend we would go on the ice, we would make holes in the ice, put a camera and look for it. And we couldn't find it for 3 months. Then my partner Pierre was playing in his bathtub with a little piece of wood and a camera, and he's very creative. He did a little system, and he went back and he found the turbine. I don't know if we can see it well. This is under the ice. You can see a little bit of turbine. So this is what Canadian winter looks like. So then my other partner, Gilles, took his chainsaw here and cut a big hole in the ice, and we pulled out the turbine, and we save the company, really. So that's what entrepreneurship is about. So I think I'm good on time. I'd like to thank you for your time. It's a pleasure. I think my story here is we need more people to take risk and join the entrepreneurship and find solution for energy needs or whatever needs we have to help improve our condition, help community. I think in Peru there's a lot of opportunity to help people that don't have necessarily easy access to electricity. These are some of the solutions we can bring to people to help them. And I challenge you, each and every one of you, to do the same and try to think of ways we can improve our situation. So thank you very much for your time.